Oh, yeah.
Yes! Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Yeah, why are we even saying this right now?
Hello, geeks of all sizes and shapes. And I said it the wrong way on purpose, I swear to God. Welcome to Basement Discourse. I'm your guy who likes drawings. This guy over here, who, if you're listening to audio, just got completely screwed. He enjoys abusing teenagers on the internet. And then our other guy, he likes to introduce his imaginary friends to other people. How we going?
For a second there, because on my screen, you're pointing to Justin, and I'm like, wait, Justin abuses strangers on the internet?
Yeah,
that sounds like a meeting.
Realize that was a gaming reference for those of you who are audio only. Guys, what have you been doing?
Well, I'd like to interject with what I tried to do the other day. I tried to watch Free Guy.
Tried?
I couldn't get further than about 25 minutes into it.
Oh,
before I'm like, fuck this.
What is this shit take?
Like,
no, this is a shit take.
Yeah. So I started it and I'm like, this movie concept sounds fantastic because I had no idea what it was about, right?
You know, it's a comedy, right? It's not a life.
Yeah. But that doesn't stop me ruining it for myself. And anyway, so put it on. I'm like, Ryan Reynolds, it's a comedy. It's basically a core concept within gaming, like the whole idea of an NPC being a nobody, then becoming somebody's fucking interesting, right?
Yeah.
I could not fucking stand it.
What?
Why?
There is so many things that are so woefully wrong with A, how games work, and B, how development works. And
it's a comedy, right?
If you're going to do a comedy, you could at least research what you're doing a comedy about.
It was so funny though. But did you get up to the bits, right? So this is, if you get mad about this spoiler, I don't give a fuck. Where there's people trying to jump into a wall and they're glitching out on people teabagging people and stuff. It was so funny. If you paid attention to the background characters, there's some who are just walking into walls and they can't get through.
Don't get me wrong, there was some quite hilarious bits that I saw throughout it. It's not like I saw a few sequences that were well, that's not how games work, and that's not how development works, so fuck this movie. No, it was more...
That. Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like.
It does sound like that, and to some degree it is. But I was laughing and enjoying it, and then there's weird bits like how the developers do not seem to know that Free Guy is a free guy, but is also an NPC. They think somehow someone hacked a skin. How do they not know that? They're the developers. They literally have access to the code. This decides all of this. What? And
hang on, how far did you get?
The code went rogue.
About 25 minutes.
Yeah. So part of this problem is that the developers, only one of them is.
Okay.
It's all stolen.
Yeah, it's all stolen material if you watched it to the end, which would now ruined for everyone.
Great. But no. But so regardless, it's their code. Even if it was copy and pasted from elsewhere, if they developed something, they've got to still have a rough idea of how it works, or it would not work at all.
The dude has no idea. That's a big plot point.
Yeah, well, he
doesn't.
The other the devs do, but yeah. I get what you mean, but I think you just put.
That's what upsets you about this movie.
Okay. So what you've got to get though is that I spend my entire life either gaming or working with software development. And this is a movie that takes from both and shits on them.
Look, I kind of get it because I've seen you get upset about other stuff on the internet, right? So I've seen you get upset.
What? This is so uncommon for me.
Yeah, no, when you got upset about, I think it was Watch Dogs and it was hacking someone who has a chip.
Yes.
Now, fair enough, right? Because it portrays itself as a pretty serious game.
Yeah.
Free Guy is a shit take and a half. They have a cameo in it at some stage that I'm not going to say because it is quite funny if you have seen it, and it's just Marvel inspired and it's quite funny. You can't. This is a different category. You can't attack a comedy and be like, "That's an inaccurate comedy."
No, that's exactly the reason why I never got more than an episode into The Big Bang Theory. Like, so I'm
gonna flip sides now.
Yeah,
because I don't disagree. Only because it has a huge cultural impact. Some of it for the better, and some of it not. And at times, I felt like it was not doing a good job of holding itself responsibly. Which I know it's a comedy, and now I flip sides because I'm like judging.
Yeah, because you're wrong. So congratulations. So my point with that is that I watched one of the first episodes, and I remember a scene where it's that blonde chick. I think her name's Penny. Is that right?
Yeah.
Whatever. The blonde chick, and she's like asking the nerds to set up their her stereo or something.
It's like, and then episode 1, yeah,
absolutely, episode 1, and they go on about having to put in an IR receiver, and then after that, they're like, but then all the heat from it, they'll need water cooling and stuff like this. And I was like, none of that makes any sense. You have an IR receiver in a TV and a remote, and neither of those have water cooling. Why would you need it for a stereo? And
maybe the point was that it was actually for people like you to be like, that's funny because you don't actually need those things.
Yeah, but pretty much every other scene I've seen from them is them just getting science and technology wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but there are good examples of the contrary, right? So if you've ever seen Silicon Valley or IT Crowd, they're both
good.
Yeah. So they're both TV shows that are comedies that take the piss on the industry and all that sort of stuff, but they're also pretty accurate enough that people aren't going to be like, this is just dumb. And that's the problem.
This is the only negative review I've heard for Free Guy, and it's such a shit take reason.
Okay. So
the question I have to you though is, if they went like all real with it and like they're all like, no, I know exactly what's going on. It's that guy. He's the NPC.
What do you do with that?
What movie over in 10 minutes?
Well, that's exactly the point. Is that if you were writing it properly, then you would find another way that they can't, like that they've got to go into the game to find them,
like an internal virus or something.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, maybe a virus hit and that's what caused it, or something like that. Because a virus, you can have like crypto, right? Which encrypts your actual files and shit. The only way to get it back is to have the decryption key.
Without ruining like the actual like full
I was gonna say,
ending,
I feel like
the love ending and all the rest of it. I think you really need to watch it just to see like the end result, because if I explain it, I'm literally going to tell everyone the entire ending and the entire plot and the actual like little that's why thing at the end as well. And I'm not going to do that to everyone. So for the most people like who have already seen it, they understand what I'm saying by all of this. But
everyone is now judging Jake. Jake, you fucked up.
You're gonna have to watch it.
I fucked up. You couldn't even say my name properly.
Jake.
You started on that so damn hard, man.
I was talking about.
You're gonna have to give it another crack and watch the whole thing.
I'll give it another crack, but do not expect me to like it. This is like, Brady, imagine you watched, for example, Game Changers. I remember us talking about this. You had issues with that, and that's because you're a big fitness nerd.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's because, in fairness, I got asked about it relentlessly for a month, and it was so bad.
But my point is here that when it's your field, your expertise.
All right. I'll pay that. It dwells up a different response. It hits differently.
Yeah, and like I never had issues with what was it Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah, it's pretty.
And Ready Player One. They're both gaming centric games, and I didn't mind either of them. I didn't have these sorts of issues. because they're either far enough removed from reality or they are accurate enough. So if you're bordering the point of being, oh, this
Also,
is
Wreck-It Rap is a child's movie.
yeah, I know, but it was a good fucking movie. And that's saying a lot. But like, my point is, if you deviate too far, like from the realm of reality, anything's possible, right? But then if you go too realistic,
Yeah, dude,
you
I
fuck it
get
up.
you. Like the technicalities are just sort of, the more I think about it, the less it actually works. But
Just get through the fucking movie, please, and then I want a second part of this review.
yeah,
struggle your ass through. Speaking of struggling through, actually, I'm going to steal the floor for anime for 1 sec. There is actually something else I want to ask about, but just quick. I'm watching Jojo.
Ah, yes.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So JoJo fandom is the most. I'm going to fucking tell it because they can come after me all they want. They are fucked. They are crazy loud. I almost said it. They are so loud. They are so loud in the anime community, and they're in jokes. You need to be so far in the series to get. And like, have you seen the memes?
Yeah, I've seen heaps of memes. That's the whole reason I checked it out.
Yeah, and they look kind of funny, and they look like, oh, if I understood these would be really funny. But like, so I looked into it, and it seemed everyone said unanimously, you need to get through the first 2 parts. You need to struggle through the first 2 parts. And I hated that instantly because I went, what the fuck do you mean? Because I looked at how many episodes that was, and I was like, I have to struggle through almost a week's worth of work to get to a part where a show is good. That's not a good show.
Yeah, no.
And then I thought back, and I realized I've done that with shows before, but it's because I didn't instantly know, because I was more innocent and young, that they were going to get better, and I was just watching them because it's all I had. So it's a weird thing in the world now, because we get 4 seasons of anime a year with like 20 shows per drop. We have so much more choice that if something's not good in the first bit, we're like, nah.
Shorter attention spans, man. It's across the whole board. You know what I mean? Like
but
video
in
games,
fairness,
D&D.
JoJo is it's a particular taste, man. It's not
weird art looking.
It's a weird art.
But that's the thing. Is like the art looks so kooky and cool, and that's why I wanted like.
You say cool?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's
like cool, not
so
like cool as in like, oh yeah, I'd like that tattooed on me, but like cool more like that just looks so weird and out there. I want a part of this.
It's so different, and I thought it would be good different, but as I'm watching it, I'm discovering it's often just weird for the sake of weird. And that kind of bothers me. I'm like, that's not good writing. If you're just like, I'm gonna go ask 8-10-year-olds what power this guy should have, and then you just write that into the story. That's what it sometimes feels like. But I'm gonna reserve judgment. I'll admit, the last 6 episodes I have enjoyed. And previously, it just felt like I was fucking pushing myself to keep watching. Like, it was hard. Like, it's like entering a hot dog eating contest. I was like, just get through more. Speaking of hot dogs, JoJo fans, man.
So,
wow.
Have you seen the big meme? It's like JoJo fans when they see an unsucked cock, and it's just it's always somebody running really fast towards an object.
Oh my god. But so I think I mentioned on one of the previous episodes that I have like a 3-episode rule with anything TV show sort of related.
I will carry on to about 5 usually.
I have not gotten through episode 2 of JoJo's yet.
Wow.
I watched episode 1 and I was like, this is genuinely unenjoyable. Like, I did not enjoy any part of that.
The whole first arc felt that way to me. It was like maybe the last 3 episodes, I was like, it's all right. But,
and like, so I can see the trappings of what might later become a good show. But if I have to work to get there.
Yeah. That's what I feel like I've done. I feel like I've worked really hard.
Like, if I think back on like all the anime that I've watched, and I've watched a fair few series, I cannot think of any that I haven't been able to like get through, say, 3 episodes and be like, hell yeah, this is picking up. Let's go.
I got one.
And
Honestly,
actually,
I don't see much value in having to sit through that much pain.
I want to contest
Exactly.
that real quickly because I know one. I don't want to get under Jace's skin. I don't want to make this an anime only episode because there's other shit I want to talk about. But Jace, Sword Art Online.
yeah, so I haven't watched the anime at all.
What?
And I've never played the video games either.
Okay, have you just watched reviews and decided you hate it? Oh, don't play the video games.
No, so I just was like, that's a terrible name. Like, I'm really bad for that. Like,
It's
animes
like a
that have-
mobile app. It sounds like a mobile
so
app.
much worse than judging a book by its cover.
Oh, yeah, no. If they've got shit names, I'm not interested. Do you know how long it's taken me to get into some anime because of the name? I've resisted for so long on a certain scientific railgun because I was like, that's a fucking terrible name. And now it's like my favorite anime. But Demon Slayer is also an awful name. My Hero Academia, also awful.
Yeah, but they're often translated, and they're translated like incredibly directly.
Yeah, and
then sometimes they do the direct one, and some dude working in the building is like, "Oh, that sounds a bit shit. Throw this word in instead." And like, oftentimes, if you go up to a Japanese person, you're like, "What's this show?" And then you like translate that to English, it'll be wildly different to the English title.
yeah, I think if memory serves, one of my friends that can actually speak Japanese said that it does directly translate to a certain scientific railgun.
Oh, does it? Because
Yeah.
I know Demon Slayer is not exactly perfect. It's close, but it's something to do with sword, apparently.
Okay.
Because
I think it's a bad name, to be honest. Demon Slayer, like.
Demon
Yeah.
Slayer's fine. Demon Slayer has done very little wrong so far in general.
But the name though, it's a shit name. I don't care who you are. And like, I'm just trying to find other examples of animes that. So even like Tokyo
Google
Ghoul.
shit anime names.
Even Tokyo Ghoul. No. I loved Tokyo Ghoul, but that name is
fucking
shit.
amazing.
That name is so shit that it put me off for at least a month.
So
like the only thing that got me into it was I was like, what do they mean by ghoul?
yeah, fair. Yeah.
Because ghoul can be anywhere from like a zombie to just an animated corpse to whatever the fuck ghouls are in Tokyo Ghoul. Like
they
vampire zombie thing.
As far as I can tell, they're just vampires that they have almost every other trait of a vampire, except that they need to actually consume like whole bits of flesh. It can't just be. As far as I can tell, there's like what I mean, they can walk around the daylight, I guess.
But then like the Kagane?
Yeah, but then that gets weirder as it goes, and they end up with like Kakuja and
which is kind of what I'm talking. Like vampires don't have that. So that the whole Tokyo Ghoul thing. Ghoul is a pretty accurate term given what they are once you find out.
Yeah, it's good.
But yeah, it's still a shit name. And that really put me off.
We'll skip away from my anime query there. What else have you guys been doing? Oh no, actually, no. Fuck it. I'm gonna just take over. How are you going with your anime journey, Justin? People want.
Yeah, loving it. I think I'm up to episode 12 of Konosuba now. So,
oof, big place.
Week.
Just casually watching it in the morning.
Where's your binge skills?
Well, I've been binging something else. So yeah, I've been playing a game. So.
Oh, okay. So you're Konosuba-ing. Have you dropped Death Note?
Sorry?
Have you dropped Death Note?
No, it's a little bit harder to just sort of really, jump into that. Like Konosuba, I can watch it while I'm, doing stuff in the morning. Like I'll be making a coffee and watching Konosuba at the same time. It's kind of just chill. Yeah, Death Note you really want to pay attention to, or else you're just going to miss some really subtle hints and interesting parts. Like I've really enjoyed Death Note, but I think it's just one of those ones you need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's just no value in watching it, or else you're just going to kind of get half the picture.
Yeah,
which I think is average.
That's totally fair.
Yeah, I just want to give it the respect it needs. So, yeah.
So I'd like to steal this for a moment because I've just started Konosuba today.
Yes.
This is the influence I want to have. I want to be like, hey guys, let's have a well-rounded geek show, and then be like, everybody watch anime.
Anime show.
Anime podcast.
Basement anime.
Hentai Discourse.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I just found out of a new level. Let's this is beyond hentai, but let's go to. So you started Konosuba.
Yeah. So I started Konosuba, and it's pretty damn funny. Like, yeah, it's good. It's rock solid. I will definitely keep going. Like, I've got 2 seasons and a movie. I don't know if that's all that's out. But,
I think so.
Yeah.
Third is aiming for 2022, but you can never be too sure with anime, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But yeah, so I'll crack on with that. Like, I'm definitely enjoying it. I enjoy some of the tropes, but I also like the fact that his whole like party is just useless.
It's so good.
And like, it's like they're all useless in the broad majority of everything, but they have these unique facets that just barely get them through.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that's good about any of them.
It's the first show and like story that I've ever seen where they've got very obvious plot armor.
Yeah.
But instead of being a problem or something to criticize, it's a hilarious comedic point.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is so good. Because like everyone accuses anime, especially like shonen anime, of just having heavy plot armor. Just being like, yeah, main character will always survive through the power of friendship, despite the fact the other person trained way fucking harder. Like, yeah. Whereas Konosuba's like, yeah, these guys are shit, but their one thing they're not shit at is going to get them through this. But we're going to laugh like a lot. Along the way. It's great. Cool.
Yeah, no.
Glad somebody else is enjoying it. I think it's still such a solid anime beginner for an adult. Not for younger people, but for an adult, especially anyone who's played a game or a fantasy story.
Yeah, like you don't even have to be like a hardcore gamer. Like if you've picked up like the Zelda games or anything like that, you'll get half of the references at least.
Yeah.
So like if you've played any RPG, it's pretty heavy on stealing from their tropes.
Something I'm noticing further in though is they're not really referencing the whole leveling up thing as much anymore. Like I think they kind of stopped doing that like 5 episodes in, and now it's just like you never see their level up card or anything at the moment. They might come back out, but
well, it also kind of just made sense though, right? Because as every RPG player knows, as you continue along, these things happen rarer and rarer because it's so much further between level, right? At first, shit goes quickly, and then it slows up, and you got to work for it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Also, interestingly enough, so I know you probably don't watch dubs at all, Brady, right? Or
I think that's a common thing that people think about me, but no, I watch quite a bit in dub.
Okay, because I just I started another show just before I got Konosuba because I finally got my Plex server back up. Thank you, God. It was so weird. Like within like 2 seconds, I noticed a voice actor, and I was like, I remember her from a certain scientific railgun. I'm like, wait. And then I looked her up, and she's apparently in like 400 different shows. Like literally her IMDb thing has 400 credits.
Anime voice actors are
there's like 5 of them.
It's just like the Simpsons cast. There's 5 people.
Yeah,
just super busy.
Like Netflix has just like bought their souls, because if you turn on any Netflix anime right now, you'll hear like Johnny Young Bosch. He's like the biggest one. So he's the original Black Power Ranger. He voiced Ichigo. You've heard that voice in everything for sure. Like it's the deepest voiced 15-year-old ever. But like you've heard him in so many Netflix animes as well. But you'll recognize him. And then you haven't watched Sword Art, but the voice of the main character, that's the other big male voice actor that you hear in everything all the time. And the girl one, so there's always like, if anyone watched Fairy Tail, the voice actress for Lucy, she's really, really popular as well. I forgot her name. Yeah.
I think the chick that I'm thinking of is I think she's in Fairy Tale.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah. So I just thought it was really weird because like it's not like when you watch a movie and the same actor is in.
No.
It's sort of like whenever you hear God, I forget his name, the guy who voices Bender. John DiMaggio, is that it?
Yeah.
Or is it Joe? I don't remember.
Is Joe his voice? Really?
No. So anyway,
We need
what
a
I'm talking
person-
about is like whenever
need
you
to
hear like a voice actor that carries across shows, it seems so much weirder than seeing an actor in different movies. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, wait, that's that person from that thing. That doesn't sound right.
I guess it's because it's only subtle and like, you know, unless they're actually being portrayed in the movie as themselves, like, you know, they've CGI'd in and they kind of have features that look similar to them, like, I don't know,
Like the Beowulf movie.
like Moana and
Oh,
shit like that.
With the rock as Maui.
yeah, exactly. Like, unless they look kind of like them, I guess it's just your mind playing tricks on you and you being like, hold on, like, I'm trying to pin this voice to a person.
I would say just that's just the limit of how much exposure you have, because I do watch a bit in dub. So I'll watch things in sub if they seem better, or if I can gauge from the setting of the show that it's going to have a lot of heavy Japanese cultural influence, because then I'm not even going to bother trying to read understand these translations. But I'm happy with a lot of dubs, but the voice acting is I'm pretty used to them crossing. But one of the funny ones, that same actor I was talking about before, Johnny Young Bosch, he did one of the voices in Jojo. Oh, was it him? Hang on, I might be about to really upset some people. Either him or the voice of Kyoto. Like I said, they're like the two biggest dudes in English voice dubbing for anime. One of them does an Italian accent in Jojo. And
okay.
it threw me so hard until he like attacked someone and did like the, you know, like the big power yell. And I was like, that's who that motherfucker is. He's just been doing Italian this whole time. God damn it. No, voice acting, yeah, I guess that's just a sensitivity thing.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I find it weird whenever, like, I think it might be distinct voices more so. Like, because sometimes, you know, a more average voice you can let slide in numerous different like locales. But the moment it's someone that you instantly identify as someone else, it just seems so weird and so animated. Yeah, but anyway, I just thought that was
because
weird.
It jumps age ranges a lot as well. So you get like someone playing a 15-year-old boy with a very fucking deep voice, and then the next one they're a giant dragon, and you're like,
the classic 900-year-old dragon.
Yeah, but what about in games? Does the same thing happen to you with voice actors? Because games reuse voice actors. Are you one of these like skips the cutscenes guide? You don't care?
No, I'm not a grub like that. Like even replaying games, I'll watch the cutscenes. I'll only hate myself in games that you can't skip the cutscenes just before a really hard fight, so you have to watch them all the time. I hate that.
A redo of a cutscene in a fight that you've already died in twice.
Yeah. Final Fantasy used to be so bad for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I watch all my cutscenes and stuff, and to some degree, yes, I am. But voice acting in games is a bit more of a mixed bag. Like a lot of the time, it's just, you know, random sound engineers or just low-level voice actors and stuff like that. But this might actually be one that Justin could relate to because
Matt Mercer.
Critical Role, Matt Mercer. He's the voice of Cassidy, or previously McCree, in Overwatch, and Overwatch is clearly my game of choice. So like hearing his voice in different places, and he's voiced tons of different characters in video games as well.
Loads, yeah.
And he's got a really distinctive voice after you get used to it. I've played over like 800 hours of Overwatch, so I understand his voice pretty well. So I hear it anywhere, and I'm like,
one that threw me off was like a Heavenly Sword. Did you guys ever play that?
Nope.
It was like maybe in 06, maybe 07 sort of.
I know what it is. Isn't it it's an RPG?
Yeah, of sorts. I honestly I don't remember too much about it except for the main bad guy, the big boss at the end. He was voiced by the guy who does Smeagol. So like,
Oh, hell yeah.
Shit.
I'm like, dude, this voice is so fucking weird. Like, what is with this? And it took me ages, and then that just like that moment, like that light bulb moment, right as I'm killing the guy, I'm like, fucking Gollum.
Yeah.
So weird.
I was a bit shocked. Like I mentioned in the last episode that I've been playing GTA, right?
Yeah.
I did not realize how many high profile voice actors are in Vice City and San Andreas. Because 3 was such a big hit, they were like, we have money now.
Yeah.
The main cop in San Andreas, Tenpenny, is Samuel L. Jackson.
Holy shit.
What the
When you go back and
hell?
play it, think about Samuel L. Jackson. You're like, oh my God, that's fucking Samuel L.
I
Jackson.
might play it for the first time.
Like that's
And-
why he was talking about snakes on planes.
and Tommy Vercetti is also voiced by someone really, really famous. It's Ray, and voiced by Ray Liotta. That's the one. If you don't know Ray Liotta, he has been in tons of gangster movies and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
So yeah, it's perfect for him. And even cooler still, one of Lance Vance, the like cohort sidekick type guy,
Yeah.
black dude that used to hang out with Tommy Vercetti. He's voiced by the guy who played Tubbs in Miami Vice, who was the black sidekick guy in that.
No way.
And
That's
it's
awesome.
and I love Miami Vice. That show is brilliant. So yeah, stuff like that.
You have no problems with the plot holes and the problems and the bad science in that?
No, because they don't talk about IT much.
Yeah.
They've mentioned computers once
I was
so
gonna say,
far in my
you have
rewatch.
this, like fantastic logical response. I see how it is. Just
Well,
what's going on in D&D, man?
D&D.
Yep.
Well,
We haven't
This-
heard much about like your campaigns you run and stuff.
yeah. Well, actually, this week we didn't do D&D. I got to be a part of the Star Wars RPG that I'm a player in every fortnight, which was awesome. And we're a group of 3 players and a DM, Zach, and he does a fantastic job, and all the players are super committed to role play. So
Don't be nice to him because you know he's listening now. This episode is going to go out after our first 2, so we record them a little bit ahead of time. But so Zach is now going to listen to episode 1. He's going to catch up to this one, and he's going to get your flattery and call you. And I'm just going to say, he planned this ahead. Justin's just being nice so that you'll be nice to him in the game. He actually he told us off air. Fucking hates you.
he
DM
just wants the
favors.
lucky dice.
Yeah.
Which is the
Well-
one rigged for Nat 20.
It's all like it's on tabletop simulator, so there's no real. I get the cheat codes or something. I guess I don't know.
Which is the one that Jace has hacked.
I'm in
Yes.
IT. I must be the hacker.
Idiot. So yeah, we played some Star Wars RPG over tabletop simulator. He's doing a fantastic job of making like all these 3D assets to go alongside it and stuff. Like it's more enjoyable almost than being in person. And he's got a lot of sound effects and things he throws in there too, which is amazing. Does a whole lot of work behind the scenes. I know what sort of work he puts in because it's just ridiculous. But it was just a whole lot of fun. Like we really got into the RP role play for those people who don't understand what that means.
The gimp suits and everything.
There's a couple of different ways to play like these RPGs, and like one of them is to sort of become the character and just talk as if you are that person, and another way is obviously just to say like, oh, I'm going to do this, and as if,
The
as
right
if
way and the
you're,
wrong way.
playing a board game. Yeah, exactly. In my head it is, but a lot of people find it's a lot easier to play these games without role play so much.
There's a confidence level to that, right?
That's exactly it.
I mean, you're not going to walk into a room of a group of strangers
Yeah, and
and
be
just
the
be
player
like-
straight away.
just fucking talk like Smeagol.
Oh yeah, 100%. I have way too much social anxiety to do that.
Yeah.
But like around you guys, it wouldn't be too big of an issue.
Mm.
But like, I don't know, like you would relate to this, Brady. Like recording yourself, how like the first couple of times you start doing it, you're like, oh, this is real awkward. People are watching what I'm doing. And like when I first started recording stuff on YouTube, couldn't have my wife in the room because I'm like, she's gonna see me talking to a camera and look like an idiot.
I relate so hard. I was worse than that. It wasn't just in the room. I kicked her out of the house. Like 100%.
It wasn't even related to the recording.
I was like, I need to record today. Go do some shit.
Yeah. 100%. You feel like an idiot, and I'm guaranteeing that's exactly how it'd feel unless you had those people already there, like in it and RPing. But like around you guys, I should be sweet. Now that I say this, if we do a one shot or anything in future, it's gonna.
I've got some high expectations on you now, Jace. If you don't come in busting out like accents and like expression, I'm just gonna be disappointed.
I'm just gonna design your character to be the weirdest dude, like just the strangest voice you have to pull off, like a gnome or something. Like,
dude, I'm basically a gnome anyway. I'm 5'7".
Are you really?
Yeah.
I haven't hung out in a while, but like, I know I'm taller than you, but you're really 5'7".
Dude, I found this out like not that long ago, right? Because when I went to have my like surgery, they have to weigh you and measure your height to get your BMI to get a rough idea on, you know. Anyway, they did that and they're like, oh, you're 174. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I did the conversion and it came out as like it's like 5'7" and a bit or something. Anyway, because it's not full 5'8" or whatever. And I'm like, fuck, I've been under the impression I'm 5'10" my entire life. And now I find out I'm 5'7".
Oh,
I lost 3 inches from where it actually counts.
I'm not much taller than you. Oh damn, I might be in trouble.
Wow, that's right.
So anyway, aside from Star Wars this week, I have been ripping up a video game. I don't have any idea how old this game is, but it's new to me. So Generation Zero. Have you guys heard of that?
No, I've never heard of it.
Okay.
Enlighten me.
So I jumped on it because I just saw it come up on Game Pass, and I'm big on just wasting 10 minutes just downloading something and just giving it a crack. So it's free to play on Xbox Game Pass for those who have that set up. And it is set in, I think, the early 80s in a Sweden, Russia sort of a feeling, sort of a place. Not sure if they're ever actually specific.
That's not the same
location.
Sweden, Russia.
Dude, Sweden nearly borders Russia.
It's very similar. It's similar as
Sweden borders Norway, which wraps around, goes to Finland. Finland's attached to Russia.
Landscape wise, but are you talking about just the landscape or like the people? Because I feel
landscape and that's the thing. You don't see people. You don't see people in this game at all. So they're talking about like the wall falling and stuff like that. So I'm assuming it's somewhere near there, but I'm not sure.
Sweden, 1989.
There you go. Yeah.
It literally says it on the Steam page.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I honestly haven't paid much attention to anything because there's not really going to be that much story in it. It's just a survival game where you go in, there's no one left, and you are fighting robots pretty much straight off the bat. So you scrounge for your first weapons and stuff. You start with a baseball bat, you get a pistol pretty quick, and then build your way up from there. But it's quite good fun, and you can do it co-op as well, which is good. So I've done a couple of sessions now with a mate online. It's been good fun. You're just scrounging, looking for the better wep, more attachments and stuff like that.
So
the robots
like
get really big.
Is it like first-person shooter or?
First-person shooter, yeah. Sorry, I should elaborate a little more. First-person shooter. It's got a very Dead Island meets the better parts of Fallout sort of together. Yeah. So
I'm looking at it now.
Sort of wastelands of Fallouts, but none of the broken parts of Fallout, basically, and the better parts of Dead Island, where obviously you're not fighting undead, you're fighting robots, but it's kind of got this eerie sort of a music, sort of a backtone to it, and your weapon modifications and stuff are kind of fun. You're just basically just trying to get better shit the whole game. So, which has been satisfying. The only thing that really pisses me off is there are no vehicles at all. The map is absolutely massive.
Ugh.
By no vehicles, I mean the only vehicle they give you is a bicycle, and you can spawn these bikes in certain areas, few and far between by the feel of it so far.
Can you not?
And
Can
they are
you
so
not fast
jank.
travel?
You can fast travel, yeah. Sorry, you can between safe houses, which is great. You have to discover them first, of course.
Yeah.
But to get to anywhere new, you need to get there, and walking is fairly slow. Your stamina burns out very fast unless you build it up, I'm assuming. So I'm on this fucking bike, and I'm like, cool. All right, well, I just need to get to like just there on the map, and I'm just here. But there's a road that goes around, like in a long way. But like as the crow flies, it's probably like 500 meters. I'll just ride my bike through the scrub. No, you can't fucking do that. It would literally, you could crawl faster than you could ride a bike through the scrub. So it just all janked out. Like you'll be riding on the road and you'll get up to 40 Ks, and it'll tell you that on the bottom right corner in the speedo. If you hit anything, and I'm talking like a small pebble, like as if you're on a skateboard, it will throw you off the bike. And it is infuriating. If your bike is near a wall and you get on the bike, it
Just
will
what
throw
you
you off the
don't want
bike.
from your gaming experience: realistic bike riding.
No, this is so broken. It's just weird. But apart from the bike thing, it's a good concept. It's quite fun. It's pretty. It's actually really well done. So I'd get on it. It's free for the most part, so why not?
Yeah, like I just checked on Steam because I just added it to my wish list.
Yeah,
It's $10 on Steam at the moment, 75% off.
nice.
Can't argue with that. Like I can because I don't have $10, but like
I would say it's definitely worth $10. Like, you know, I'd probably be happy paying 30 to 40, even if you weren't sure what to expect of it. But some of the robots are huge, like they're the size of a house just walking by.
that's
you
awesome.
can like hear them, you can sort of almost feel them as they're walking near you. So you're like, oh shit, you start looking around nervously because all you have are like an AK with some armor piercing bullets, and you know this thing's going to take about 150 bullets to bring down. They have their weak spots and stuff like that, similar to Horizon, where they have those sort of battery packs, but they're not glowing, they're not super obvious either. So discovering those things is actually quite satisfying. So, you know, hitting that spot and you're like, oh, there it is.
Are you guys keen for the next Horizon?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm down.
I've played maybe 10 minutes of the first one.
Oh, yikes.
To be fair, that's because I don't own a PlayStation. And it only
Yeah.
came out on PC like a couple of months ago, and I don't care. Like I've got other things to play at the moment before I get to that.
It's pretty good.
So
I enjoyed
it's
it.
pretty fun. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was the right. It's not as broken as some other. Did anyone play the Primitive Age one?
Oh, Far Cry Primal?
Yeah, really fun. But like, if you got like 50% into the game, you could break it pretty bad. Like, it was, you had to like come into people's camps. But if you had worked and trained animals and like done any sort of upgrades on your bird, you just send the bird in, send your animals in. And like, it was fun the first time. I was like, fucked everybody up without lifting a finger. And then I was like, oh, damn, I'm like 48% through this game.
Yeah.
Shit, the game is going to be boring. Like,
I didn't even finish the game. I got to sort of a point where it was just easy and then everything just felt like a chore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind when you get to the point where you're overpowered, but I don't want to be so overpowered that things are just easy.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah,
and that's why I gave up that, and because it is literally Far Cry 3 with a hat.
Yeah,
like just like Far Cry 4 was.
Yeah,
like,
but Horizon doesn't do exactly that too. It definitely does get easier at points, but then it like ups the difficulty level, or it introduces something that can like really fuck you up. So
some of the challenges are fun too, like, you know, trying to tame 2 T-Rexes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, holy crap, this is insane. And the story's not half bad by the end of it as well.
Yeah,
Almost
I mean, I wouldn't call it
Assassin's Creed-y sort of a feel.
Yeah,
somewhat,
I wouldn't call it like super creative. I enjoyed
Yeah.
Hades. I thought Hades was cool. But I didn't like. I wasn't like, oh wow, didn't see that coming. I was like, story, keep moving. But it was fine. It was fine. I'm keen for another one because I want to see what they do with it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It'll either be really good from here or it'll just be like terrible. I'm pretty sure it'll just be like, fun gameplay, horrid story. Or it'll be like, oh, okay, now you did the things.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of like pretty much every sequel if it's had a hit original game? Like, if there's an original that was absolutely popped off, most sequels do the same thing movies do, and it's like there's a good chance that it's just going to be shit, or they'll actually manage to do really well with it.
Yeah, similar to Mafia 2.
I
thought that went well.
Yeah, Mafia 2 was good. Mafia 3 was pretty fucking average, though.
That was very average, I've got to say. Soundtrack was the only real highlight of that thing, you know. But,
I'm trying to think of an exception, but I really can't pull one to mind.
So, like, there's a few good sequel games, but there's also a ton of terrible ones.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
So we could go on to this whole thing. I'm not going to say we're gonna bring this up at another time, but I'm going to say that this topic we're about to get onto is going to take longer than we have tonight to cover. Is what I'm trying to say. Because
speaking of guys, why don't we take a quick 15?
Sounds good.
Yeah, cool.
Oh. Jace is going to sit here and talk to you all while we go.
Jace is overruled till it's his turn to host.
Have you already seen all the anime? Are you sick of having to read right to left? Here at Davo's Left Hand Manga, we have a painstaking process where we remove each page and paste them in the correct order so you can enjoy your manga the Australian way. That name again is Davo's Left-Handed Manga.
All right, and we're back. I hope you enjoyed the ad from none of our sponsors because we are currently not sponsored, and a bunch of
did.
Oh, good, cool. We're quite poor. No one gives a shit. So hopefully you guys are enjoying these episodes. But I realized that we spoke about Free Guy and we spoke about the D&D campaigns. But what gaming have you been up to, Jace?
So I've just been playing a heck of a lot of Overwatch, which is pretty much my norm. I play heaps and heaps and heaps of Overwatch. And it's been going all right. I've actually got an account that I just played really badly on for quite a while. Not intentionally throwing, but I was just playing with mates, having a laugh, and lost heaps of SR. SR is like your competitive rank, and it's quite low at the moment. And so I've been working on getting that back up. And that's where it brings me to talk about shit things in gaming. My number one shit thing is everyone else in a multiplayer game.
Everybody but me sucks.
Exactly. No, but like communities are so well known for it, right? We talk about like it's a known meme of how toxic the League of Legends community is. I haven't even
League is filth though.
I have not even played the game. And I know that the trope is that community is really toxic. Overwatch has that as well. Like, we had one game that I was playing at like 1 a.m. or something. And I was playing with a female friend of mine. We're having a laugh. All good. We asked our tank player to do something. And some dude chimes in and just rolls off his face. He's like, oh, you can't suggest this, blah, blah, blah. We'd be winning if you guys would just group up. And he just lost it. And we were like, dude, fucking chill. Like, we get it. He's your friend or something. But we're just making a suggestion. Can we do that and just win the game? Nope. Went off the rail. Ended up throwing the game by just jumping off the map continuously. And yeah, that's a regular experience in a lot of online games. And to be airing this not long after, hey, get into online gaming. But there's actually a notorious meme from a webcomic called Penny Arcade called Jonathan Gabriel's Greater Internet Fuckwad Theory. And it's basically normal guy plus anonymity equals total shitcock.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And
that's with every community, in fairness. You I mean, look at forums.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the topic is, because they're anonymous, you get people chiming in about everything from serious things, 5G, vaccinations, all that sort of stuff, to our things. You know, you got anime, gaming, tabletop stuff, and you got people being total assholes. And the stuff they say is so bad. Like, you're like, this isn't just, oh, I thought it would be funny to say this. This is like, who hurt you?
Yeah. Like, I've had people on numerous occasions tell me to kill off myself, you know, just neck myself.
I know. Because, like, what could you have possibly done in a game to warrant? Like, I've played games in a horrible way to annoy people. I've had Monopoly thrown at me. I've had other games like card games, like decks thrown at me. I've had people leave a room, but no one has ever told me to kill myself. This is a regular online occurrence in any field between gaming, anime, and everything else. Like, right?
To some degree, yeah. And like, even on my like personal Twitch channel, one of my intro clips while I'm like the starting soon screen is a guy screaming at me through a microphone because I think it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I used that clip for that, and like it's so notorious throughout our online community is just people being absolute wankers. Another good example is Dead by Daylight, a game I used to play a lot of. I'll send you a picture of this, Brady, and you can clip this in. But my Steam profile is full of people with comments like, if you don't know how to play this game, please delete it. Thank you so much. Fuck you, camping, stupid idiot. Focus on your word, fuck you. And stuff like that. Like, I've left this in my profile.
Focus on your word.
Yeah. It's great. I'll send you through that picture. But people and just how insufferable they are with anonymity, that is the one thing I really hate in online gaming.
Like being a father as well, like that also comes like and hits home a little hard because like I want my daughter to enjoy the video games and things that I enjoy, and then thinking about her ever being online and having to deal with someone like that, you know, when she's so young, you know, like how distraught would someone be who's, you know, much younger and just there to actually have fun and play a game for the sake of playing a game.
That YouTube thing, was it this year or last year? They had the like, because there's like a kids YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And someone uploaded a bunch of like Peppa Pig episodes, but they were like real disturbed.
Yeah.
They were like real bad. That sucks because I was about to suggest, and then I remembered that, like, why don't we have gaming servers? I know that we have under 18 gaming, but they all just lie about their thing. But why can't we have parental controlled, just kids playing on servers? And I was like, well, I mean, people fucked with the kids' YouTube. It's just gonna
that, and like think of the player base as well. So like, let's say you have 45, or let's say 50 million people play this game religiously online, whatever the game happens to be. You start like basing what server people go to based on their age, then you've got to think about the server locale as well. So like Australia is already a pretty pretty empty server for most games, just because we're in the middle of nowhere on a continent with 20 million people.
Terrible internet service.
Exactly. And so you're theoretically halving or less your entire community on these servers. So it'd kill many games if you did that. But yeah, people are pieces of trash, and that's one thing I fucking hate about gaming.
Yeah, if you give anyone a mask, you end up with some horrible versions of themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything like that in anime or D&D? Like,
I'm sure there is an anime. Like, obviously, the cartoons aren't shouting at you.
Anime has a the anime community, but I'll let the D&D, because I'm more curious about that, because I obviously know about the anime, and I think it's going to be quite similar to gaming, with some more specific things, but virtually the same sort of thing. Anonymity is not helpful, but yeah. What about D&D? What do you get with that?
I mean, for the most part, we're not anonymous. So, you know, if you're playing on a tabletop in front of people, they're not really anonymous. I haven't really jumped into any random games on Discord and things. I know they're out there. So I'm sure they probably get some issues there. But I think, you know, online gaming, you've got a lot more people you're playing with. So every round, you're basically playing with a whole new set of people. So, you know, I guess if you averaged it out to the amount of times you'd have to do that with D&D, you might find some shit people in there too. You just don't get that many new people at your table. Like if we have a table of D&D players, they're not going to change from round to round. It's not like a round robin thing where random people just jump in and take on the next challenge.
Enter my dining room. Bring snacks.
Random people come here.
Tell someone to leave.
Yeah, it's just that's unusual. So I guess it's not exactly the same in that regard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So with that, then, is there anything about like the D&D world that just either pisses you off or annoys you?
Well,
for sure.
Like go
definitely.
full free guy with it.
Yeah. What about like modern D&D? You mentioned that people being down on their phones.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You mentioned
that's a real downer, like because to be a DM, it just means there's a whole lot of work behind the scenes before the day comes about. So even planning a one shot that might run for 3 hours, you'll probably be looking at sinking about 20 hours of preparation into the idea. So, you know, the core idea, what's going to happen in that 3 hour session, how many encounters are there, what's the reward, what's the challenge, you know, what level are they, what level are the enemies. You can't just throw numbers and numbers at each other. So what's the encounter going to entail? Is it just going to be a big clash right at the end? Is it going to be a slow build up? Are there traps? There's so much planning that goes into each session. And so my sessions usually run between 4 and 6 hours. So you've got to be pretty in it. And when you have a big group, 6 to 8 players, like I usually do at this spot in my time, in my career, it's hard to keep their attention all in the game, you know, especially if you've got those people that just they're not in it. So, you know, if they're not in it to play, they start getting distracted. They grab their phone out. They start sending messages to the group in the, you know, the Facebook group chat or whatever. All of a sudden, this guy across from him, I see them pick up their phone, and you've lost the table almost immediately. And all that hard work just goes down the drain because you watch as the table just sort of crumbles and they all just sort of, you know, lose themselves. So that's a very frustrating part of it as the DM. I think as a player, there's a few different types of people that would really piss you off as a player. So there's the rules lawyers, the ones that are just all about like, you can't do that. You cannot do that because this rule in this book specifically says that this and this. Like, just chill the fuck out, man. Like, you know, we're here to have a good time. Stop reading the books so heavily. If it's cool, then just run with it. Rule of cool is always going to win out on my table, at least. So there's always those sort of people, which we tend to not have here because I just encourage them not to do that. And then the other thing is the people liking the different editions of D&D. So you've got people that are like diehard 3.5 editions, that sort of thing. So yeah, there's definitely some different things that can really piss you off. And then there's the limelight stealers. So there's always that one player who's a little bit louder than some, which is totally fine for some of it. But if you've got that person jumping in all the time and just sort of taking control, it sort of becomes the show that's all about them. And then you watch the other players sort of, you know, disappear into the corners of the room, sort of just watching the guy play D&D or the girl play D&D, like whatever. So it's important to try and like incorporate everyone else into it. But a lot of this comes back to the DM's job. So it's, you know, controlling the table, making sure that you're keeping everyone engaged. It's hard work.
Yeah, fuck that. I could not do that.
Yeah,
that sounds too much like management to me.
It legit is my job.
I work for myself for a reason.
So nothing like major, like there's no abuse going across the table because immediately you just be like, all right, fuck right off. See you later. Yeah. You're in my dungeon, bitch. I'm going to actually kill you and hang you.
Do your YouTube monetization.
Yeah, that's gone now. Justin was like in my dungeon.
Great. Thanks, bro. Our
That's
threepence is gone.
That's it.
Maybe
I was looking
maybe I'll
forward
get a new shed.
10 cents share.
So, Brady,
Yeah.
anime, what shits you off right there?
Yeah. I mean, the communities are pretty bad. We spoke about that briefly. Like, the Jojo fans are so fucking loud, and they make it really intimidating to get into, as well as they don't just give you the honest thing and just say, look, Gap Post is shit. Like, you have to search for that. Shonen fans, I reckon, are pretty filth. They're just so loud.
But like,
Why are
isn't
they
pretty much
arguing-
every way?
But why are
every
they
anime
arguing over can Goku beat HIV? Like, why?
Oh my god,
Why is this a thing? No one. This is fucking ridiculous. Like,
dude, that stuff especially between like anime nerds and comic nerds, the whole could Batman beat Vegeta or
yeah.
fucking
Why is it cross universe shit makes me laugh so much?
can Deku beat Superman? Like,
yeah.
no, who cares?
It might be fun conversation for 5 minutes, but please don't get serious about it. Like,
Yeah.
like have a giggle, be like, oh well, he can do this, so that'd be funny. But don't like tell people to kill themselves when they have a different opinion on the internet. Like, that's wild.
That doesn't sound like the internet at all to me.
No, not at all. But no, so the only other bits, apart from like that weirdness of the community, I can't stand any sort of elitism in any field, because I feel like it just makes people less likely to get into it, and that's only a bad thing.
Yeah.
So like any sort of gatekeeping. So we talked about gateways in the first episode, but like any sort. So we mentioned a few times subs versus dubs. I'm cool with either. Like, I will admit that there are a lot of shows that are awfully dubbed, and there are some shows that are just simply easier to watch in English, and just it's not taking very much, if anything, away from the show. Konosuba, pretty easy to watch in a dub, and you're not losing much. One Punch Man is another comedy one, but it does a really good job of translating all the jokes. Everything applies. It's really funny, really easy to watch. There are some shows that are definitely better watched in the original, in the Japanese, because there might be some cultural elements that don't translate very well. But it doesn't mean you just shouldn't watch it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you should be like, no. If you can't watch it in sub, you shouldn't watch it. Those people drive me insane. Because I think it's just telling people, I like this thing better than you like this thing, so you can't like it.
Well, then you've also got the hipsters. Like, I know enough about anime to know that like people that are like, oh, so you watch that peasant shit Naruto, eh?
Yeah.
Or like, oh, Dragon Ball. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I watch, and then some 40-word Japanese name that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
It's only got one episode, and it was actually made in a GIF and distributed along MySpace. But I've seen that, and you haven't, therefore I'm the best.
That's it. Yeah. So that sort of negativity really bothers me. You have to watch it in this language. You have to do it like this. You don't read the manga though? And I mean, there's this in the West. We have our own version. We have like the books and the movies. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, they're different experiences, and almost no version of adaptation has ever been as good as its source material.
Interjecting.
You go.
Sin City. Oh.
Yeah.
If you've seen the movie, because the movie was originally a passion project, and that first scene, I can't remember the name. I think it's the woman in the red dress. But yeah, that whole scene was shot pre-production with, I think it was Josh Hartnett's the main character in that bit. And that was shown as a proof of concept to give to Frank Miller.
Damn.
And it's shot like word for word, screen by screen. Even the camera angle is correct to how the frame is drawn.
Wow.
It's so good. Like, that movie is absolutely perfect to the source material, minus all they did was cut like frames or dialogue out, but still, like, everything that's there is the right camera angle, the words are correct, the effects are right, everything, and that is spot on. But
But typically,
Aside from that,
be an exception to the rule for sure. You came up with one example. Like, typically, I mean, anyone who watched, Harry Potter movies, Lord of the Rings, like they're the common ones in the West. But like in the East, the Japanese stuff, typically, the manga's going to be better, or the light novel. So Sword Art is a good example. I only briefly mentioned it earlier, but Sword Art as a light novel, outside of the harem elements that you can either like or hate, that's fine. The light novel got to a place, and it's similar to Jojo in that the show got good, or the story got good, right? The show tried to do the same thing by just being like speed run. Like when you watch the first arc, you're like, wait, what? Because like it's not giving a spoiler to say that in that show they get trapped in a game, and the goal is you have to clear all 100 floors of the game, and then everyone will be released. Okay, that is the premise of the first arc. But you're watching it, and it's like episode 1, floor 1, episode 2, floor 2, episode 3, floor 3, episode 4, floor 34, episode 5, floor 60. Like it starts to really speed run the shit out of it. And that's because what you don't realize if you only watch the anime is that there's a certain arc they get up to where everything else basically becomes a prelude to that arc.
Okay.
Maybe not a good way to make a show or a story. Don't get me wrong. And as such, he's actually gone back and started rewriting the first arc floor by floor, but separate thing. And I'm not here to talk about how good Sword Art is. I'm just saying some people probably need to give it a second shot and get up to that point. But that the community that just sits there and goes, no, if you don't read the manga, you fucking suck, or if you don't read the light novels, you suck, or if you watch in English, you suck. That sucks. Like those people themselves need to just not be involved in the community conversation, because all you're doing is telling people not to get into it, which is going to put less, money into your franchise, which is going to result in less of that thing getting out there. Yeah. All you're doing is creating less people involved in what you love, in theory.
Yeah. And like, I'm not a big reader, right? Like I'm not huge on reading books. I've read a handful in my entire life.
Yep.
Which is weird for a guy who spends his entire life reading things. But, I'm not big on reading. So the last thing I want is manga around, right? However, certain animes that I've seen that like end at a place that I'm not content with, I'm like, I want to get the manga just to see where it's at now.
There's a few very easy classic examples. A lot of people watched Elfen Lied, very different ending in the manga as opposed to the anime. There's a couple others. Bleach, notoriously filled with filler. The anime just, they kept catching up. Dragon Ball quite often is quite different, believe it or not. Even the modern Dragon Ball Super. Tokyo Ghoul, that's a huge example. Basically, Tokyo Ghoul season 1 is almost shot for shot the manga.
Yeah.
Tokyo Ghoul season 2 is called Route A because they did whatever the fuck they wanted. And I will defend it to a very small degree because where they ended at the end of season 2 was the identical spot that what the manga got to. So they got to the same point, but the routes they took, and probably why it ended up being called Route A, is because some people really argue with the character development changes that was caused by that. And then season 3, anime or manga people alike agree that it was trash. But that's, not good.
Yeah, so whenever we convince you to get into that one, Justin, you watch season 1 and 2, and season 3 doesn't exist.
And then I get to convince you to read manga because season 3, solid read. But season 3 to watch, it's rough.
One of the ones for me is, you've probably heard of it, Brady, Toradora. It's a slice of life anime. It's just like a love story type thing, but it ends just as the like relationship starts and it gets serious, and then thunk, series over. And apparently the manga has at least a few like stories or like a few episodes worth after that, and there's no word on whether they actually plan on making that into an anime. So I'm like, do I get the manga?
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's
so
hard.
that's a bit
And transferring between the two is something that I also think, and I don't want to keep going on about this, but the gatekeeping thing is annoying because oftentimes just transferring is not simple. So like if you read a Harry Potter book and watched a Harry Potter movie, it wasn't hard to grasp that those characters were the same as the same characters written because they were pretty close. It was just a slightly different story. When you read a manga, the character depth is entirely different, and they're in black and white typically. There's one or two colored ones, but most of them are black and white. And if you've ever picked up a comic book in the West and seen an action scene,
Yep.
Imagine that in black and white with fucking scribbles everywhere. It's you can't tell what color hair people have. It's either white or black in a manga because that's all they have. It can be really hard to tell who's who, especially in Tokyo Ghoul where the dude's hair changes color like 4 times.
true.
It is hard. So not only is gatekeeping not helpful in the general sense, it doesn't make sense if you're like, you haven't even read the manga. If for most people, 90% of people, that's going to be like, fuck you, I'm not getting into this anymore. I'm done with this. For some people, it's going to make them go, oh, okay, I'll read it. And they pick it up and go, this is so confusing. You've only done negative by being that person. You've done no positive.
I think we've just swung full circle and gone back to gateways because I think the big issue here is accessibility. People don't like things that are accessible, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about 5th edition with Justin, right?
Yeah.
The reason it's popular is because it's accessible. If you gave first ed to me, like, because I'm a D&D scrub as far as actually playing tabletop, give that to me, let me have a read of it, I'll be so fucking confused and I'll be like, I don't want to play this.
Yeah.
5th edition, from what I hear, I should be able to pick it up, spend, a few hours going through it and get a good idea of where I'm at.
100%.
And yeah, that's the thing is people don't like accessibility because anyone can get into it at that point.
Yeah.
And that makes their special moment less special. You know what? Your special moment isn't just yours.
Yeah.
For fucking everyone.
Somebody wrote this to share with the world. Whatever it is, whether it's D&D, whether it's a game, or whether it's an anime manga. Somebody wrote a story or a plot or a theme and was like, here you go, everyone, enjoy it. For you to just grab that and be like, this is mine, and if you don't enjoy it my way, you're a piece of shit. Yeah. That makes you the worst.
Yeah.
No. So that's my toxic rant. Can't stand those people. That's why, even though, yes, I did initially start learning Japanese so I could watch shows without dub, it wasn't because I think dub is trash. It's just because I'm an impatient fuck.
And you don't want subtitles over the genitals.
Pretty much. Yeah. Stop ruining my... No.
So, I guess to sum up, what are our suggestions for this week? So I'm going to suggest that everyone should get into Generation Zero.
Yeah.
Okay, Generation Zero. Yeah.
Definitely give it a crack. Under $30 wherever you find it, I'm sure. So I reckon everyone should give that a try if you like first-person shooters. I reckon that's my suggestion for the week.
Cool.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. What do you got, Jace?
Well, Justin took gaming, so I'm going to take D&D. You guys should play the D&Ds.
All of the D&Ds.
All of it. You need to play them all at the same time as well.
Every once on the same table.
Yeah. All at once. No, I don't really have anything to summarize or suggest, except that nobody watch Free Guy. But yeah. I have a strange feeling Brady's on a delay. I've noticed late laughs, and that one was about a week and a half after I made that comment.
That was
Yeah.
hella late, man. That was
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
late.
you were pretty frozen then for me. All I heard was what don't eat guy, and I was like, oh, I got it. Yeah, just that.
See, even my punchlines are accessible.
That's recommendations. I mean, we did Konosuba, we did Death Note. They're the go-tos. We recommend Justin, so they're tried and true. I just think, yeah, people should stop being shit about what gets you into it. If you have that nostalgic hook to Dragon Ball from when you were a kid, pick up some shonen. Go for it. Like, One Piece is the go-to. I don't know how you feel about that. I find it a bit wacky, but it's fine. It's good.
We've got to go back to the JoJo thing if we're talking about.
Yeah, Fairy
Same
Tail.
thing. It's that you've got to get so far into it before it gets good, and I can't do that.
That's okay.
But if you vibe with One Piece, go for it, right?
Yeah, find shorter ones. Probably don't start on One Piece. That might have been shitty advice. But like Fairy Tail, what else have we got in the shonen category? Dragon Ball, Naruto.
Would you consider
Naruto, huge?
Surely Seven Deadly Sins would count as shonen to some degree, right?
It is shonen. Okay, so maybe I think you might have a different idea. Shonen is it starts out in Shonen Jump magazine.
Yeah.
It's a genre, but it also is a publisher.
Yeah, so I had no idea about its publishing roots.
So Seven Deadly Sins is published in Shonen Jump.
Oh, okay, yep. Well, that all checks out then.
Same. And that's why it's very much that similar theme. It's action-y. It's obviously aimed at young boys. Shonen literally means youth or boy. You can enjoy the shit out of that. Get into it, guys. But comedy anime, I reckon that's on the rise. So whether it's Konosuba, One Punch Man, Reincarnated, that time I was reincarnated as a slime, they're all very funny. They're very accessible. Go for it. We did say that this episode will talk about negatives, and I think we scraped in a few, so that counts.
Yeah, totally counts.
If you didn't,
I refuse to go further.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't want to do negative shit. It is Monday night when we record these, and it's getting on the later side. So, guys, I reckon we're done. What do you reckon?
All right, let's call it.
Let's call it. All right. If you're watching these, guys, I need you to subscribe, comment, tell us what you like. If you don't like it, fuck off. I don't care. There will be audio versions available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you don't like seeing our faces, you can still enjoy the show. You can find us on Instagram, Discord. What else have we got? We got Twitter. Join all the conversation. We're all involved. I think that's it. We good?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this is Basement Discourse. I'm Brady. We've got Jace and Justin, D&D, online gaming, and anime manga / according to Jace, disgusting weeb.
Also true.